This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Kevin Tucker and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic!
What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is Thursday, March 13th, 2025. I'm Kevin Tucker. Hanging out with me today is not Jonathan Osborne. It's an old friend of the show, an old friend of you, an old friend of me, Mr. Luke Sylvia, back in Jonathan's stead once again. Luke, welcome back to the show. How in the heck are you?
I'm good, man. It's been a while since I've been on. So long that the last time I was on, the Magic had a good record, and we're on a 6-game win streak at the time. And now this team has more losses this year than they did all of last year in 82 games through 66. So it's a different vibe this time that I'm on. My shirt is on, which is uberly disappointing for all of you guys and as myself as well.
Yeah, when the shirt is on, things are not good. But honestly, Luke, that in some ways feels like a completely different season. Like it was an entire season ago. Like it's changed a lot.
Dude, we talk about it all the time, and I know that you and Jonathan do the same, but like the season already feels segmented in general.
Yeah.
You've got the lead up. Maybe you put that mark at Christmas, or you put that mark at All-Star break, or maybe you put that at like when the Magic stopped having injured players or continued, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
And but like you said, like this, so much so this season has felt like it's just been the longest season, and it's been so segmented, and it's been disheartening to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely look forward to getting some of your opinions on how things have gone over the last couple months, how they've fallen apart, what maybe could be done to improve or to fix some of those things. Obviously, looking forward to get all that from you. Before we talk more about the season, before we talk about the Rockets game, before we talk about all those things, I do want to let everybody know about some really big news, okay? If you were around watching or listening to the show last year, we did for the first time something that we and the Orlando Magic call the Court of Dreams experience, which is where a group of people who, buy tickets to this event can go play a game of basketball on the floor at Kia Center, and which is a pretty big deal. I'm trying to remember. Luke, did you do last season?
I did. I did. Yep. Me and Jonathan and old Ben Gifford with the Sixth Fan Show, his brother, a lot of Magic fans that were out there that made it a really fun time. People on Magic Twitter.
Yep.
That you didn't know who they were, maybe what they looked like. You finally got to connect with those people as well. It's a super fun event.
So we've been asked many times over the season when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen, and I'm here to tell you that the 2025 Six-Man Show Court of Dreams experience is going to take place Sunday, March 30th at noon. And then as also included in that experience will be tickets to a game, and that game just happens to be the next day, March 31st against the Clippers. That's a group ticket type thing. So you buy tickets to this event, you get the Court of Dreams experience, you get the group tickets, so you get to sit with other people that were part of the Court of Dreams experience. So again, Sunday, March 30th at noon is going to be the Court of Dreams experience, where you get to play some basketball on the floor at Kia Center. March 31st is going to be that game against the Clippers. That whole ticket package is included there. So just to set the scene for you, last year we capped it off at 60 people, which gave everybody a chance to kind of rotate in and get some burn there, get some run on the floor. And so we're doing the same thing again this year. If you are interested in this, you can find the link to purchase your tickets either on our social media, or we'll include it in the description here as well. So yeah, if you're free and available and interested, Sunday, March 30th at noon is the Court of Dreams experience. And then you also get to attend the game March 31st against the Clippers. Again, if you're interested in that, check out the link. It's going to be a really good time. I know Jonathan's going. Got a couple other people that are going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so definitely check that out if you're interested. Another thing you have to check out, you got to do it, is going to be this Friday, our next watch party. It's at the biggest watch party venue that we do every single year, the Stadium Club at Caribe Royale Resort. Luke's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Jonathan's going to be there. Matty World Peace is going to be there. Sam's going to be there. Ben's going to be there. Everybody's going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you haven't been to a watch party at Stadium Club, you're missing out. It's a crazy venue. Lots of good food. And it'll be a good time for sure. Luke, I'm trying to remember, did you go to any of the watch parties at Stadium? So this is your first time as well at Stadium Club, right?
At Stadium Club, yes, correct.
Okay. Yep. So I know I got to recommend you peruse the menu as we always do beforehand, because there are some bangers there on the menu. I'm looking forward to sharing some food and some good times with you and hopefully a Magic win. But yeah, again, folks, come join us this Friday. The game starts at 8, so the watch party will get started around 7:30. Again, at Stadium Club at the Caribe Royale Resort. All right, Luke, let's talk some Orlando Magic basketball. We'll do a brief little midweek state of the Magic. Magic, in their one game so far this week, fell in Houston on Monday at the hands of the Houston Rockets, 97-84. We'll talk a little bit about that game in just a second. What does that mean for the standings? The Magic, as we record right now, a couple games still going on tonight, but as we record, they sit 7 games out of the 6th-seeded Detroit Pistons. That's hard to believe, 7 games out of 6th seed. 1.5 games back of the 7th-seed Atlanta Hawks. Magic sit in 8th, and they're tied with the Miami Heat, who are at 9th, and they are 2.5 games up on the Chicago Bulls. When it comes to the injury report ahead of Thursday's game in New Orleans, Jalen Suggs obviously out for the rest of the season. Moritz Wagner out for the rest of the season, and that is it. So there's some rumblings about Cole Anthony apparently not fully practicing in the lead up into this New Orleans game, but as of right now, he's not on the injury report, and so he looks like he'll be good to go on Thursday, as will everybody else except for Jalen and Mo. Before we get into some big picture talk about the Magic, Luke, we will touch briefly on this Rockets game. I don't know how much of this game you got to watch, but it was an interesting one. Obviously, first off, I think I'd like to talk about the Rockets really fast. I don't know how much you've been able to watch them this season, but what a turnaround they've had. They look like a complete basketball team. I don't know if they're good enough to win the West this year, but they should make some noise in the playoffs. I love how they're built, with Alperen Şengün. Jalen Green is playing pretty well. Jabari Smith Jr., how about his turnaround? So yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Do you have any thoughts on Houston as a team as a whole before we talk about specifically this game on Monday?
No, I mean, Houston is, they've got a great balance. They've got a good balance of vets to young players, and they've situated themselves in a really good position. As much as I personally clowned them when they go after Dylan Brooks or whatever, like whoever, right? I was one of the people that was very vocal about how trash of an organization Houston is, and what are they doing? Why would they go out and acquire the? It's like, that's why they have jobs in the NBA front office, and I do not. And they're, like you said, they're a complete basketball team, and I think that they are next year should be, as long as they don't fumble anything, a serious contender in the West.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think part of the frustration, I think, this season, which obviously we'll talk about in a second, for Magic fans, is looking at some of these teams that were probably in similar trajectories to the Magic last season. A team like Detroit, a team like Houston, even to some extent OKC, although OKC is obviously very different. They've had a whole different level of draft picks and acquisitions over the years, right? But teams that were relatively young, and we've seen them take huge steps. Detroit, vastly better this season. They're a playoff team. Houston, insanely better. They're one of the best teams in basketball. Obviously, OKC is OKC. And then here's at the Magic regressing this season. I think that's part of what I think is painful for Magic fans. And so coming into a game like this on Monday, to have to go head-to-head against a team that has totally blown you out of the water as far as, expectations and standings and stuff this season. A little bit frustrating. But as far as this game goes, Magic defense, respectable. You hold Houston to 97 points. I think Houston, just a couple nights before, dropped like 140 or something like that. So defense, respectable. Paolo was good. Everybody else, not a whole lot there. Not a lot of offense from this team against a Houston team that does have a very good defense, one of the best in the league. But not a good night for Franz, just 6 of 17. The stat of the night for me, Luke Sylvia, was Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who played 21 minutes, took 0 shots, had 1 rebound, and 1 turnover. That's the end of his stat line. You're paying a guy 20-something million to play 20 minutes and not do anything.
Here's the only thing I'm thankful for, Kevin, about Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. The literal only thing I'm thankful for is his previous years of basketball might be enough for the Magic to get off of his contract. That is my only gratefulness when it comes to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, because I'm thinking about the summer. I'm thinking about who do I want to acquire. If I'm thinking I want to maybe get Trae Young on the Magic, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's going to be in there because I think you can convince another team that he can, be the veteran that you might need. And also, this was just a one-off season because every year prior, he's been able to shoot the basketball except for this one.
Right. And part of it is, though, I would be willing to bet a decent amount of money that if and when that happens, that he'll snap right back into being old KCP.
Yeah. Well, which is what that's fine, and I agree, but that's just what we need other teams to think too.
Correct.
Like I can fix him. Yeah. Right. I can fix this veteran. But yeah, no, KCP. I was all aboard the KCP train, and I think a lot of people maybe convinced themselves eventually they were on board, just because any fans can convince themselves that their team made the right move. But I genuinely, from the beginning, was like, dude, I love this. He brings defense, he fits the identity, and he also can shoot the cover off a basketball, or so we thought.
Yeah.
So it sucks. It sucks what it's become. And you kind of got to wonder, maybe does he snap out of it if this team is just playing better, is not getting injured left and right? Or is this just what he was going to be this season regardless, because he'd be one of the people to help you snap out of it and be good? So
right.
It's super disappointing with him.
Yeah, disappointing and surprising. Couple things about this game. You can't talk about this game and ignore, number one, the three-point shooting. Shocker, Magic shoot 25% from three, compared to Houston, I think it was like 37% from three. But the biggest storyline from this game was the rebounding. The Orlando Magic got out-rebounded 63-42. Specifically on the offensive glass, the Rockets got 20 offensive rebounds, led by Steven Adams, 11 offensive rebounds in 23 minutes. He absolutely destroyed you on the glass on Monday night. Ton of offensive rebounds, ton of second chance points. And that was the difference in the game, really. Again, a 13-point loss against an elite Houston team. On paper, not a bad loss. I think what frustrated myself and maybe a lot of other Magic fans was it felt like a very winnable game. The defense was good enough, but unfortunately, tale as old as time with this team. Offense was not. One thing I wanted to ask you, Luke, or at least mention maybe to our viewers, I have a renewed interest in Gary Harris play lately, and it's all thanks to you. Okay. Gary Harris we talked about KCP having a bad season. Gary Harris having also a bad season, a historically very reliable three-point shooter, being completely unreliable this season and sometimes unplayable, like not even seeing the floor. So our dear friend here, Luke Sylvia, tweeted out. When was that tweet? How old is that tweet, by the way? Do you know?
February 25th, after the Cavs game when we lost by 40.
Okay, so we're coming up on a month of this. Why don't you talk us through that tweet, your mindset, and where we sit today?
Yeah, so I tweeted out, not tweeting again until Gary Harris makes 2 threes in a game. Honestly, like my thought process was I hate this season and everything that it is, and I need something to renew my interest. It has kind of had the opposite effect. Because ironically, like I never got on Twitter being like, I need to tweet something. But knowing that I can literally not tweet until he hits 2 threes in a game, it's kind of subconsciously kept me off Twitter a lot more. Like my screen time for Twitter has gone down drastically. And it's really funny, but also super sad, because I tweet this, Kevin, after the 40-point loss to Cleveland. And I really just picked someone on the team that I was like, I need them to turn it around. And I was like, I can't say until he makes a 3. That's not as fun.
Right.
So I tweeted until he makes 2. So swiftly after that game, I think Gary Harris is just logging DMPs, coach decisions left and right.
Yep. Until Monday, that Houston game, which is why I brought him up, because he hit a 3 in the second quarter.
And we were on Gary watch. And that's when I
was like, oh, snap, we're on Gary watch. Luke could be back on Twitter soon. And it didn't happen.
I'll be honest. Here's what I'm hoping. Because the season's gone anyway. It doesn't matter. I am hoping that Gary Harris gets shipped off and still hasn't hit 2 threes. And I go the whole summer without tweeting a thing. And then next season, the start of the season, he plays with some team and he just snaps back out of it. Mm-hmm. And he hits 2 threes with another team. And then I get to finally tweet. I just think like that would be incredible. There's no way that doesn't do numbers also, because that's what all today is about in 2025 is doing numbers. And I daydream about that a lot, where I'm like, man, that would be just cinema if he would do that.
I'm curious though. Let's play this scenario out, right? Same thing you just said. Well, actually, it doesn't really matter if it's with another team or with the Magic. Let's say he does not make 2 threes the entire rest of the season. Will you count preseason next year? If he makes 2 threes in the preseason, does that break the streak?
I'm not counting anything in the preseason. He can put up 10 threes, and you aren't getting my fingers to Twitter. So,
deal. All right. Yeah. So all Magic fans, all 6-Man Show viewers and listeners, added interest in Gary Harris just to free our friend Luke back on Twitter. We'll see. Plus, also, obviously, hitting 2 threes does help our basketball team, so we'll take that too.
Right. Yeah.
For either reason. But yeah, tough loss for this team on the road. This road trip, very tough, obviously. They get the win last Saturday against Milwaukee, surprisingly. Fall here in Houston on Monday. Then we have this back-to-back now. Thanks to the schedule changes because of the random different events in Los Angeles and New Orleans. Now it's a back-to-back. New Orleans, Minnesota, Thursday, Friday, that's a brutal back-to-back, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, that's terrible. But anyway, we'll see how they do Thursday and Friday. And then Sunday, you conclude this road trip in Cleveland at 1 p.m. on ABC. So great. So glad they chose us for that.
Maybe you've talked about this already, Kevin. I'm not sure, but you're the TV tracking announcer schedule guy.
Yeah.
What was the big reason why they flexed us? There just wasn't another option.
Yeah. So the originally scheduled game, first off, they're contractually obligated to have a game in that 1 p.m. slot this week. So their original game was Philadelphia 76ers and Dallas Mavericks, which preseason, sign us up, right? Mm-hmm. That's Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
That's Paul George. That's Tyrese Maxey against Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving. Wow. But when you look at both those teams now, the Sixers are a dumpster fire, and the Mavericks are one of the wildest stories in the history of sports, and very bad, and very injured. And so they decided to flex off of that. The other options aren't that good, and so they just picked the team that's on a historic run, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Honestly, the Cavs could have played just about anybody, maybe other than the Wizards, and they probably would have picked them. But anyway, so we're the victims of that. But hey, I don't know if you listened to the last episode, I said, hey, look, it's an opportunity to show the world who we are.
Golly.
Which and then Jonathan was like, yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. We're going to show the world who we are. That's what he said. Yeah. So very funny. But yeah, we'll see. Rest of the road trip, super, super tough.
Kevin, real quick, I just want to talk about my favorite hot chicken place. Really, my favorite chicken place in general. It's over the Chick-fil-A's of the world to me. And it is just an incredible place there in Winter Park. So if you guys have not heard about Jam Hot Chicken, 400 West New England Avenue, there in beautiful Winter Park. They've got jams, they've got culture. They bring it all to Winter Park and that area. Cool outside seating, and incredible, even better chicken sandwiches. And the box, if you're someone that likes the things that Jonathan likes, they get they basically with these fries, they put the chicken on top, they put their comeback sauce on top, and it is just served beautifully. You can even get some mac and cheese there as well to put it on top. And man, Jam Hot Chicken, I need to go back soon. The Magic being bad have kind of thrown me off my groove of coming to Orlando that much anymore. Maybe this Friday on the way to the Caribe Royale resort, maybe I make some time for Lauren and I to stop by Jam Hot Chicken. But Kevin, that is what I'm looking forward to. Go to Jam Hot Chicken. Tell them the 6-Man Show sent you. I can't. If you haven't gone to Jam Hot Chicken at this point, you live in Central Florida, you need to go.
You're missing out if you haven't been. We've said so many times on this show, but when people go try it, they quickly find out why we're so excited about it, because it is that good. We're also excited for Random Hustle, Austin Lampy, Irish Magic Mike, Nick from the Cloud, and Victor Colon. We're excited because those are 5 of our Hall of Fame and elite tier patrons at patreon.com/The6Man Show. Those are some people that financially support what we do here at The 6Man Show and make everything that we do possible, from these episodes to the 6Man Show postgame live, to the 6th Fan Show, to our watch parties, and everything in between. None of it would be possible without the financial backing of our patrons. And if you are so locked into what we're doing and you want to back our mission, which is to grow this Orlando Magic fan base, then you too can head to patreon.com/the6man-show. And for as little as $2 a month, contribute to the cause that we, again, trying to raise up more Magic fans and more passionate Magic fans. So definitely, again, check us out, patreon.com/the6man-show. And now let's get back to the episode. I wanted to go back, Luke, 30,000 foot view.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned at the top of the show, I haven't had you on since the Magic were good, back in 2024, as we now are sitting 3 months into 2025 and the wheels just keep falling off the train. How would you, from your perspective, it's good to get another opinion. How would you kind of summarize your thoughts, your feelings about how this season has fallen apart? Maybe some things that you think contributed to that, and kind of what your overall vibes are as this season. I mean, there's like 16 games left as the season starts to wind down.
The higher you go in life or on a roller coaster or whatever it is, the worse the fall is. The worse, the lower you get, right? And that is what I'm going to say is me right now with the Orlando Magic. And that's probably the most frustrating part of it all. It is the most frustrating part of it all, is that we built like such a good team, and also just like in the playoffs, taking Cleveland to 7 games. People can say what they want, right? Like, oh, they put that game on that series on Nickelodeon, nobody was watching, whatever. People know the outcome.
Yeah.
And therefore, this season, a lot of people were like, man, watch out for the Magic. Watch out for the Magic. To the point where the casuals are getting caught with their pants down who don't watch the NBA and keep up with the standings and maybe see the ins and outs. Because I still see people saying, like, oh, man, the Magic, like, they might be able to, if they can make it out of the play-in, watch out. Like, I have seen people say that aren't Magic fans. And it's like, we did such a good job of building up what this team could be and should be, that now even the casuals are getting it wrong. But unlike in years past, they're getting it wrong in the right way. They're like, man, the Magic, like the way we want them to talk about us.
Yeah.
And I am just so worried that we get to that we make it out of the play-in and that we make the postseason and we get swept and it's not even close. Like, I'm talking 40-point Cavs losses like we had the other week, last month or whatever, over and over for 4 games straight. I am terrified of that reality, because it's like, it's hard. You can't just scream from the mountaintops that this team's been injured, because you've had your 2 stars back for a couple months now, and you suck, and you're worse. And so there just definitely is trouble in paradise, and it really sucks. And Jeff Weltman's back was not against the wall, and maybe that leash is pretty long, but it's against the wall for the fans. There are fans that already want Jeff Weltman fired. And to be honest with you, I'm 1 off season away. Like, I am this off season away from being like, Jeff's got to go. And it sucks, but it is what it is, man. The last time I was on this show, I would have been singing Jeff Weltman's praises if you asked me about him. And I don't know, that was maybe 4 or 5 months ago now. And in just that short amount of time, I'm like, if he doesn't make a move this offseason, he's gone. He should be, but he won't. But he should be. And Jamal Mosley, I mean, I'm not as out on him as I am going to be Jeff Weltman if he doesn't make a move, because it is a lot on roster construction. But Jamal Mosley's not blameless. He's not blameless, and I think I'm one more bad season away for sure, or even a half a season, getting to the All-Star break and being bad next year. I'd be like, I don't care what the injury situation is. I don't care. You kind of got a package deal, Jeff Weltman and Jamal Mosley out the door. And it does suck, because I was both of their biggest fans, like, for the last couple of years. So it's crazy how sports works. And when you're no longer the Cinderella story or the darling of the league, like that crown gets quickly taken, and then you're just expected to win. And the Magic haven't been winning, and it's been super frustrating. And I'm very terrified that they're going to screw up every bit of momentum that we've made over the last couple of years.
I think one of the things that contributes to this is the almost the like order of things. Like if this season happened last year, I don't think we're freaking out. Like if the seasons were reversed, I mean, like, so this year the Magic have 30 wins, 16 games left. Let's say they end up with 36. Like maybe they get 36, right? The season before you won 34 games, I think it was. And so if you made a 2, 3, 5 game improvement, even though it was an ugly season, it was tough. I think most fans would have been like, it's part of the progression. It's part of, the ascendance, if you will. And then you turn around and have a 47 win game. There's 47 win season, all that kind of stuff. I don't think anyone's freaking out. The problem therein is you had 47 wins last year and you turn around and you do this. And then, like you said, it's not solely due to injury. You've had your guys back, except for 2 very important guys, but not your star guys.
Yeah.
Everyone else has been back, like you said, for basically almost 2 months now. And it's just been a disaster ever since. And so,
and to your point, last season, like you said, if you flip these seasons, there's really, it's inconsequential.
Yeah.
Because that's what, if people don't remember, last year before the season started, everybody was just like, man, if you make the play-in, that's a success.
That's right.
And now, faced with the play-in and what seems a likely scenario, it's like the sky is falling. And I mean, rightfully so. Like, I've lived the same season you guys have, and I get it, right? On paper, you might be able to talk yourself out of it, but watching it night in and night out, it's like, man, just get me out of this season.
You hinted at it a little bit, but where do you think it's gone wrong? Like, what do you think? And everyone there's such a wide range of opinions, and I don't necessarily think any of them are 100% correct or 100% wrong. I think it's probably a little bit of everything. But in your mind, as you've watched this season, where has it gone wrong? Has it been 1 or 2 big things? Has it been a lot of small things? Where would you say things have started to go wrong for the Magic?
Paolo, after 5 games, going out, right?
Yeah.
He's the first domino. And then obviously you have Franz and Mo and Jalen. And like the injuries, I mean, by far and away are the worst thing to happen. But unfortunately, during those times, it really exploited what this team needs. And it's like, oh man, if Paolo and Franz aren't on the court, then forget about it, right? Like there's nobody. You look around, and I think when Fazan was on the episode a few episodes ago, he just talked about the Magic's need for a shot creator. And it's like, man, that's so obvious, but it's so true and maybe overlooked. Of like, we often just want to talk about who can make shots, but really it's who can create their own shots. And it really just like Paolo and Franz going down exploited everything to do with the Magic and their weaknesses, because nobody was driving, penetrating in order to even create an open 3 at any point. Yeah. And then, I mean, it doesn't really matter because you're going to miss it anyway, but like these guys aren't getting chances to, like when Paolo and Franz are on the court. And obviously Mo and Mo going down, man, everybody knows by now, but that was detrimental. Like that was terrible. And then at the trade deadline, here's what I can equate it to on the fly here. But in a game when a team starts going on a run and then like you have that instinct of like, okay, timeout, like call a timeout, right?
Yeah.
You're going to call timeout, right? The camera starts to zoom out. They're getting a shot of the arena, like that. Call a timeout. We all know that feeling. That was us. And what I thought should have been Jeff Weltman at trade deadline. Okay, Jeff, we're getting ran over. We're getting steamrolled. We haven't asked any in-game adjustments from you really ever to this point. I'm asking you to call a timeout and shake up this roster. Hypothetically, of course, on the timeout end, but like that's that was so obviously the move. And it just didn't happen. And then Jeff Weltman comes out and tries to make it better by saying, no, I know we need it. But what was the word? Squeezed was the word he used? Yeah, I'm going to get that tattooed on my back. But squeezed, like that was, I didn't want to get squeezed. Like we don't want to be in a situation where we get squeezed. Like he tried to make it better on his radio appearance, and he was trying to save face. And to an extent, he gave me a little bit of hope where I'm like, okay, this guy finally snapped out of it. and talking like his PR ways, right? And he was like, "No, I know we need something, all right?" And it gave me hope for the offseason. But in the meantime, it really didn't help because he's talking about not getting squeezed, whatever that really means. But it's like, dude, just overpay. Like, we don't care. We want a shake up. And if people want to yell at you because you overpaid and say it's not a good trade, then who cares? Like, this is what we needed. You needed that man off the bench that's going to create a spark. You lost Mo Wagner. And Cole Anthony hadn't started his reascension yet at that point. So just like we needed it so badly. And I think that was really the straw that broke the camel's back, was no trade. And I really just think this team hasn't recovered from when Franz goes out and then things kind of start to get shaky. And then you lose Jalen and you lose again. And like, it's super rough what we've experienced so far this season. And that's why I say, like, all those things combined to just create the perfect storm. And Jeff Weltman all of a sudden is on the hot seat, and Jamal Mosley, people want to believe he's on the hot seat.
Yeah.
It's been, man, just terrible.
Yeah. I just have said it so many times on the show. It's just hard to believe. It's hard to believe that this season has gone like this. And from the mountaintop of last season now to this season, and just all the unfortunate and the lack of luck when it comes to injuries and all kinds of other stuff has been really, really tough. I'm sure Luke will have you on at some point, whether it's end of the season or in the off season or something, but you hinted also at off-season moves. First off, I'm 100% with you. Like, I'm okay if Jeff Weltman makes it the rest of this season. I have to see something in the offseason. Like, we cannot sit still, stand pat in the offseason. Like, I refuse to believe that someone with a basketball brain can watch this team and think, oh, it's just injuries. Let's run it back. Like, I don't think he's going to do that. If he does, I am out on Jeff Weltman after this offseason.
Yeah.
But I don't think he will. So first off, I agree with you. But the second thing I'm wondering, like, how big should, or do you feel that those swings should be, right, this offseason? Like, based on what we've seen so far through 60-something games, like, are we talking small changes? Are we talking, I mean, you mentioned Trae Young. Are we talking a big acquisition like that? Obviously, cap things, you talk about getting squeezed. We're about to get squeezed in the cap when it comes to, we've done the Franz extension, the Jalen extension, the Paolo extension's coming. Like, we're going to be limited in a lot of ways, but hypothetically speaking, are you thinking a big swing, some small swings? What kind of things are you eyeing for this offseason?
I would like Trae Young. I would like to get him, like, obviously, I mean, here's the thing, right? I'm not a cap expert. I don't really care. Like, they figure that out, right? I don't concern myself with years down the road when it's time to pay literally everybody on your team and you've got these, the cap with you having your back against the wall. I don't care about that. As irresponsible as that might be to say, but like, getting Trae Young and getting him for a couple of first round picks and KCP or Cole Anthony or whatever else it takes. There's people out there like, oh, Trae Young's value is worth more than that. We don't know. We don't know anything. Like, the Luka Doncic trade tells us everything that we need to know. We know nothing. We know nothing about value. We don't know what teams are willing to do to just shake things up. So I am really hoping that you can get a Trae Young. Maybe you can get a Cam Johnson that we have long sought after and drooled over for, a year now, basically. And I think that, like, the trade matters, the return matters, but ultimately the idea of the trade is what you need. You have to do something. It's similar to the trade deadline where I'm like, you just need a shot to the arm. And I really don't know where that comes from or how it happens. I don't care. Like, we just need something that is enough for fans and for Jamal Mosley to look at and be like, okay, I can work with this. This gives me more spacing. This gives me another shot creator. So it's not so much the player as it is like the prototype of the player, right?
Yeah.
Whether that is a shooter or a shot creator, I don't care. And if you want to try to upgrade at center, that'd be cool too. But that's also kind of the really not what I'm too worried about, to be honest with you. I think that the center position is important, but not that important when you compare it to spacing the floor and having a guy that can create his own shot off the dribble that isn't named Paolo and Franz or Cole Anthony when he's, on.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of where I stand. But also I will say, I told you that I was before the show, I wanted to be careful about how I said this, but you texted me last week because I've been very vocal in the group chat as to my apathy level, right? That I just simply don't care anymore. And you texted me and you're like, hey, can you just care for another week so you can come on the podcast with me? And I was like, yeah, I'll do it for you. But to be honest, like, it's not like what it was when I'm hanging on to every second of the game, listening to every word that David Steele says, right? It's not been like that. Like, there have been nights where I forego watching the Magic so I can watch Ted Lasso, because that's a much more valuable use of my time right now. And really the standpoint that I come to, and then I'm still tuning into you guys on Mondays and Thursdays, because I'm like, hey, what I missed, I can just catch up with the Six Man Show, and they can tell me. So right now, for anybody listening or watching, I would encourage you, if you feel just weighed down by the weight of this season and it is affecting your mental, or you don't want to let it get to that point and you're about to crash out, feel free to step aside and just listen to the Six Man Show for your Mondays and Thursday updates, because it's been great for me. Like, it's been awesome for me. And I've also got our group chat, which I'm sure a lot of people, if you're listening to this, you likely have some sort of group chat or Twitter thread, or you're looking at our Twitter DMs,
or Patreon Discord,
or Patreon Discord.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/the Six Man Show.
Yep.
And yeah. And I say that because, like, I did this for 4 years and I am free from what I had to do for 4 years and that Jonathan and Kevin have to do now, and what Jonathan and Kevin have been doing, but which is watching every game regardless of where you're at with this team. And enjoy your time being a listener of the show, right? Or a fan of the Magic. Just kick back, watch that show that you haven't had time to watch the season because you're making plans to watch Magic games, and then just turn on this show Mondays and Thursdays. That's it.
First off, Ted Lasso, a much more uplifting and feel-good story than this Orlando Magic season. So, great show, by the way.
I almost asked you if we could just talk about Ted Lasso this entire episode.
There we go.
I am on, this is going to be a quick Ted Lasso rant. I am on episode 6. I have never so quickly clung to a character as I did Ted Lasso through like 2 episodes of this show. The writing is incredible. The acting is hilarious. And I think the most impressive part, as you can tell, I've thought a lot about this already. The most impressive part is that this could very much be a cheesy premise. And the premise on paper is very cheesy. But the fact that they didn't go over that line of cheesiness to where this show could just be that all the time, and there is a sense of like emotion tied to these characters. Dude, there's an emotional moment, and maybe I won't, in case anybody's just motivated to go watch Ted Lasso now on Apple TV, I won't spoil anything. But there's a moment in episode 5 that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm crying.
Yeah,
like I did, and my wife Lauren is next to me on the couch, and she's like, I thought this was supposed to be a comedy. But man, that show is just incredible. So that's what I'm watching right now instead of Magic games, and it's super sad that we are at this point that I'm not watching a lot of Magic games in March. Really unfortunate.
Yeah, I'll just say I wish I could in 2025 have that experience of watching Ted Lasso for the first time, because it's so good. It's so funny. Really, this is the last Ted Lasso thing, I promise. Do you know the origins of Ted Lasso? Like, do you know how this character started? Do you know about this?
I don't think.
I figured you wouldn't, because you're not a big soccer fan, specifically Premier League. So this originated when NBC acquired the rights to the Premier League back. I mean, this has been like 12, 14 years, a long time ago, right? Their commercial campaign was this. They hired Jason Sudeikis to be this American football coach who goes overseas. And so they were just commercials of him doing press conferences and random like bits on the sideline of a field like for practice, and everyone thought it was so funny and so clever that they turned it into a stinking TV
That's
show.
crazy.
I'll have to send you the original commercial.
Yeah.
All it was commercials, and then it ended up being a really freaking good TV show. So yeah,
Dude,
I definitely recommend it. It's
that's
awesome.
hilarious, and Jason Sudeikis is the man. So.
Yeah, it's a beautiful blend of comedy, and then it gets very, has very serious moments and moments about family and the highs and lows of that, and all kinds of good stuff. Okay. I think the last thing I'm very curious to hear from you about, Luke, with this season, you touched on it, and I agree. The expectations that we had coming into this season, they're shot. You're not reaching it, right? Like the expectations for a lot of people were, hey, number one, home court in the first round. Number two, really push to make it to the second round. Like we want to see this team win a first round series for the first time in 14 years or whatever it's been. Painful. 14 years. Wait, are we at 15 years now? Crap, we're at 15 years. It's been 15 years. Win a playoff series, right? Those expectations, they're gone, right? Obviously, home court advantage, that's just about mathematically impossible. And advancing to the second round is essentially like it would take a true miracle to see that happen, okay? So with the last few games that remain and a likely trip to the play-in, what for you now could turn what remains into a success? Again, the season will not be a success, but what kind of ceiling do you think this team could have for what's left? And what would it take for you to walk away from the season going, you know what? It didn't go well, but we salvaged it at the end by doing what?
You salvage it by the end by not getting swept or gentlemen swept in the first round. And I mean, let's be honest, regardless of who you play, it's a tall task, right? Like at this point, realistically, you're looking at Cleveland or Boston.
Yep.
Nobody should have expectation that this team somehow passes Detroit and becomes a 6th seed and avoids the play-in. If that happens, maybe the season's a success, regardless of playoffs. If you somehow go on this crazy win streak to end the year and surpass Detroit in some miraculous fashion. So, yeah, that would be my two things. If you somehow get out of the play-in situation and weasel your way out of that, or you go you win 2 games in the first round against what looks like will be Boston or Cleveland. That's the case, right? Now, if you obviously somehow win, like that's unrealistic at all that you win the first round. There's a lot of people that say like, I'm really worried that we somehow win a first round and then Jeff Weltman just sits on his hands. The response to that is like, I would hope that Jeff Weltman would see that and be like, man, yeah, if I make a trade or two this offseason, how much better can we be? Right? Like we will be a lot better next season. And what does that mean? Like this team without spacing can do what they did, then that would be great. And I do need to make a trade so we can get up, another level. But I understand people and fans reservations with the Magic making the second round. But also, I just don't think it's possible. And that would also say that this team is just better than we thought, which would be an encouragement, because to beat Boston or Cleveland in a 7-game series, I mean, you could argue last season's roster was better constructed, or that players were just playing better and you were healthier. But last season, you couldn't even beat Cleveland, who wasn't this good, in 7 games. So what realistically are you going to do with Cleveland this year, who is much improved in every facet and everybody's elevated their games? And it's super discouraging to see the team you played in the first round and almost could have beat now be the 1 seed, and everybody's praising their name. So, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like a tall order, right? Like, especially if you do end up in that 8 seed. Cleveland's on a crazy run this year. Yeah. We'll see. I think, honestly, there is absolutely no guarantee that this team even makes it out of the play-in. Like, let's be honest. Like, that's the other part that's tough. Like, it looks like if they are the 9-10 game, they'll have home court advantage in that over the Bulls. But I mean, the Bulls have guys. Well, hey, wait, we just lost to the Bulls. What a great example with Kobe White's 44. I think he had that night. So very capable Bulls team of being this Magic team. But on paper, it's kind of like how we started tonight. There are still people across the league, a lot of them casuals, but people across the league that still think this team could be scary. if they're playing well, if they're in the right position. I think because of how physical and how tough the team plays, how defensive-minded the team plays. But obviously the eye test suggests not a whole lot of threatening will the Magic be for those teams, Boston, Cleveland. But Luke, this has been good getting to catch up on Magic World stuff. I think a lot of Magic fans definitely were interested in hearing your opinions, your thoughts on what has gone wrong this season and maybe what could be done to right the ship. Do you have any other thoughts or any wisdom you like to impart to Magic fans before we go?
No. I mean, everybody keep yourself in check. Don't allow this team to mentally affect you.
Yeah.
And everybody take care of yourselves. That's all.
Yeah. And come see us Friday at Stadium Club for that watch party against Minnesota. So that'll be fun.
If you've ever wanted to meet me, if we haven't met already, please come to the Caribe Royale. If you've ever wanted to meet my wife, don't attend because I don't need you meeting my wife.
That's right.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And unfortunately, there will not be Ted Lasso also on at Stadium Club. So no matter what happens in this game, win or blow out by 40 points, we're going to be watching it.
We will be locked in.
It's going to be what it is.
But unfortunately,
at least we'll have good food and good hangs.
Yes.
In the meantime. So yeah, join us Friday, Stadium Club, 7:30 party, 8:00 game. And if you're interested in the Court of Dreams experience, we'll put that link in the description and on all our social media. So check that out as well. Tickets will be super limited. They will go fast. So if you are listening to this and you want to go, check it out right now or you're going to miss out. So anyway, Luke, thanks for hanging out with us tonight, getting to chat some Magic basketball with you. Always a good time. I will see you on Friday. And for everybody else, you have been listening to the Sixth Man Show. For Luke, Sylvia, I'm Kevin Tucker. We'll catch you next time. Hey, go Magic.
Thanks for listening to the Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!